here. Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Yes. Welcome. Study session, Mayor. First of all, call this meeting to order. Study session, Mayor of City of Nogales. Meeting 3 p.m. Wednesday, February the 6th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Letty, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Number 3, presentation. Number 1, presentation, Mr. Kissinger.
Mr. Mayor, during our last council retreat up in Tucson, Arizona, at the Pima County Association of Governments building, the council and the mayor at the time were highly impressed with the layout of that building and the furniture that was in it. During the end, they instructed staff to look at duplicating that layout at the Chase Bank. We immediately went back, I think it maybe the following week. We met with the PAG leadership there and went through some of their layout and how they do it. And they directed us to create a space, and we immediately engaged the company called Create a Space and to start looking at the Chase building, and it's been quite an ordeal to go through that and find out what the best use would be for it. So we engaged Create a Space, and Michelle is with us today, and she did a presentation, and she can share with you where we're at so far to get your feedback and direction on how to proceed with the Chase Bank. So, if you don't mind, I'll bring up Michelle.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon, everyone. It was quite an ordeal, but it's a beautiful building, and so we met several times to talk about what would be some of the best uses for the building, what would be who should be in the building, and what kind of requirements those people would have, and where we should put them in the building, whether it be upstairs, downstairs, what we needed to do to the building to bring it up to code and bring it up to date. So this is a basic presentation of what we are proposing to do with the building to bring certain departments of your staff over to that building and condense them all in areas so that they can work together more efficiently. So has everybody had a chance to see this?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to start with the first floor. We're proposing that we put Mayor and Council's room, duplicating this room or moving this room over to the front east side of the building, along with the conference. Actually, here, how about that? So you've got your Mayor and Council here with your gallery seating, and then you have a private conference room like you have behind you currently right now, with a private entrance coming in right in, so that when this space is not being used for meetings, it can be closed down with this door right here. And then the west side of the building would be used for your day-to-day finance department. So you'd have a separate entrance. Gotta get my little clicker going here. Right here. So you'd have a reception area immediately directing everyone to the 4 transaction windows that are right here. You also have a small conference room that can be used for your staff, or if there's a small conference going on that someone from the public or someone including with your staff could use. So you've got access right here. We're also proposing you're going to need to put new bathrooms in. So you'll have 2 new bathrooms here that are ADA accessible, male and female. That this area right here, I'm so used to just walking up to it and pushing with my finger. So sorry, bear with me. This area right here can be shut down during the council meeting if need be, so that the council members, as well as your visitors, can come out and use the bathroom but not get into your finance department. So, but then your finance department can also come out and get use of your new restrooms during the day. So then you have your finance department back here, so you have a supervisor, and then behind another wall here you have 8 finance staff. So there's 4 right here, 2 right here, and 2 right here. We'd also be renovating and bringing up to code these bathrooms, and this space here will allow for storage and filing and any additional equipment that's needed. And then you have your finance director here on the first floor. So to recap, your first floor is going to hold your mayor and council chambers, your mayor and council conference room, your receptionist, a small conference room, your finance transaction stations for your day-to-day business, the finance supervisor, the finance director, and your finance staff. Everybody will be on the first floor.
Mayor, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
Because I'm a little confused. Just
Sure.
First of all, what happens in these drawings to if people want to pay, drive up and pay through the infrastructure that's set through the bank there?
We have actually removed that infrastructure right here. We've taken the teller window out and put your conference room here. So there was no proposal for a drive-up teller window.
Okay, if you can just hold on a minute. At the retreat, we said, or when we were going through buying this building, we said one of the conveniences would be that the people, instead of having to get down, they could go through the drive-through, which the infrastructure is there. I just speak for myself, Mayor. I would like for that to continue. I think it's a great convenience. Instead of everybody having to get down, taking up the parking, that drive-through be used. It's there. Everything is working, you told me. So why are we gonna?
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Because
We want that for the public to be able to.
That's easy enough to do.
Okay.
So with keeping that in mind, we would probably want to have another session just in terms of talking about what is the most important aspects of use for this building. So I hear you saying that you want to keep the drive-up window.
Yes, and excuse me, where are the original doors?
Yeah,
to the
I'm
entrance
going
to
to
the back?
actually walk over to this.
Okay, because I've lost you.
I know.
The
So
left are right there.
there's a door here currently,
Mhm.
and this door currently.
Oh, okay, now I.
So, yeah, so this is your Grand
So-
Avenue. This
okay.
is your teller window,
Okay,
right here.
got it.
So, originally my thought process was this is really the best real estate in the building because it's got the most light, it's got the view of Grand Avenue,
Mhm.
it's not looking at a parking lot, it's not looking at another parking lot. So originally my thought process was to actually put the finance department up front in the most ideal real estate that's going to get used the most. To me, that department is going to use the most.
You're saying the mayor and council, not the finance department?
That was my original thought, but then we talked about it, and we talked about actually putting you guys in the best real estate part of it to give you the most grand access to the building, and it did actually kind of put you in a corner where we could condense you down a little bit so you'd still have access to these bathrooms, which you're going to need, while also giving access. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't flip it a little bit and bring finance up here, if you guys are comfortable with not having the prime real estate in the building, and moving the council chambers down here. What I think we could do to make it an attractive space is bring more windows in for that. then it would give you, you wouldn't have the view of Grand Avenue per se, but you'd still be seeing the parking lot somewhat, but at least we could bring some light and openness to your chambers.
Michelle, also, just, I don't know if you remember, but on the drive-through
Right.
windows,
Yes,
there's 2 lanes.
yes,
So depending if we identify that only one might be needed
Sure.
for the general public, we could always use the second lane
mhm.
to build in our collection station.
Sure, definitely. You could put, absolutely. You would, no matter what, whether the window stays or not, the window needs to be brought up to current codes, and it's pretty old. And so it's going to need some help, but it's obviously right there. There is still a door here, and I would still probably recommend that we move that door somewhere, because this is a great location for the bathroom. Even if we go just a little bit, it hits the column perfectly, and it's kind of centralized, and over on this side makes it so that we're not like taking up any windows that are already there. And so we need to have access to the bathroom from when you have meetings like this and day to day. And we don't want people having to traipse through finance to get to the bathroom, or you to have to go through finance during one of your meetings. And this kind of allows, so we can swap this. And I think that's really very easy to do. But at least this gives you kind of a concept of what your space would look like, what we're trying to achieve in terms of dividing up the building. What I might possibly recommend is that we maybe even bring you down even a little bit lower, so that we have more room for finance and it doesn't separate the finance people by your conference room being, your meeting room being right in the middle. So that's the first thought. So keeping that in mind, we did some elevations of the product and the idea. So you've got your gallery seating. The elevation here for this, for your desk, is just something that we put in. We're actually proposing to do something more custom that's arced, so that you're all kind of sitting similar to the way you are now, so that everybody can see you, but getting everybody in. So we would reduplicate that, and until we kind of work out the details for it, I wasn't able to 3D render it. So I just put in a standard desk with only 7 seats, just so that you could kind of see, but the proposal is to put all of the seats in there. And as far as coloring, I picked a color scheme that I thought was a attractive color scheme. Colors don't really matter in terms of pricing. It's just something to give you something to visualize with. So you've got another view back with it. We are, you've got a conference room here. That's your large conference room. That would be your mayor and council conference room. And then this will give you a little bit of an idea of the reception area, your transaction windows, and what that could look like on the other side. So we did it in a frame and tile system that we could really dress up and do some fun things with, add some marker boards within the stations, get some color in the station, keep everything low so that everybody can kind of have some privacy, but also that supervision can be seen, what's going on, not enclose anybody into their station. It's just a rendering of the finance director desk. So then the way I propose this is I pulled pricing together for your FF&E, which is your furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So that's not anything construction-wise. It's truly the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So what we did was I broke it down with a budget so that you could see kind of what we're allotting for each area within the first floor. So you've got a price allotted for each area. So you've got your mayor and council pricing, your mayor and council conference room pricing, your receptionist lobby conferencing, your small conference room, your finance transaction stations, your finance supervisor, finance director, finance stations, and then demountable walls. And I want to talk a little bit more about demountable walls. So I'm going to go back to the first, and I'm going to walk back over here. So what we're proposing is that for And for all of these interior walls that we use a demountable wall system, floor to ceiling. It's a steel structured drywall insert. It has a sound absorption factor. It has an NRC rating higher than a drywall wall. The beautiful part about it is it's on your furniture schedule, so you can depreciate it as furniture instead of wall, but it's also green and you can reuse it. So if this, you know, if you get in and you work and you think, oh my goodness, we need more space here or more transaction windows, we can move those walls around without destroying the floor that we already put down, without destroying your budget, without having to fill our landfills. So things like these walls, interior here, obviously your bathrooms would be hard walls. This is a beautiful glass wall. We did sliding doors so that we get a really nice contemporary look. But these transaction windows were still up in the air. There is a transaction window in a demountable wall. We can do it that way. We may actually do a hard wall construction, but we have kind of the budget to do it either way. And then these walls here. So, and this wall right here. So those, keep in mind, are your demountable wall budget that's on there for the first floor.
Mr. Wesser? What is the size, the capacity of that chamber? Is it larger than this one?
You know what?
I think I counted
This is-
65.
Oh,
Wait,
seating?
Yeah.
648. There's 48 guest chairs.
I think we counted 15. What did we count?
Uh-huh, 52.
52.
48. There's 48 currently laid out in here.
But that one doesn't contemplate the side too. You can actually put it-
Yeah, I think that once we actually design a true curve for the council desks, we can maybe get another row in, and we actually have room in that reception area that we can bump things down and move things around based on what the true needs are.
If you put, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
you're
go
right.
ahead.
Dr. Felix, is there a reason that we're moving the chambers to the Chase building?
Pardon me?
Is there a reason we're moving the chambers down there?
The reason was that we had a retreat at the Pima Association of Governments meeting room, and everybody liked the acoustics, the setup, and the ability to tear down to have social events and other events, community meetings and the likes. And that's the concept that was put on the table for us to work with.
No, but the question was, why are we moving this council chamber over there?
Well, that's the,
Well, that's one part of it. The second part of it that we agreed is that the city court would be here now, where there's central location for security. So now if you have to come in, we only need one security there for the police and the courts. We don't have security here and another security over there. And it gives them more room.
if you go down to the municipal court, you'll see how constrained they are space-wise,
And the police department.
and the police department. So the police department have more space here and upstairs as well.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna.
One moment.
Oh, sorry.
If we do what you're saying because of the seating, you need to make sure that there are speakers in the lobby area so they can hear the conversation
Oh, sure.
here. Because otherwise, if there's too many people here, we would have to stop the meeting and have it, change it to another meeting date where we can accommodate everybody else.
Sure.
So, I'll help you. Mr.
Yes, no worries.
Besides this, we're gonna have another plan that'll follow this with all the MIS, the screens, the speakers, the microphones, the jacks to plug in, the cell phones, the laptops, all of that is a different plan. Just to keep in mind.
It's not included in this,
Not including what you're presenting today,
Okay,
or the
in
budget.
the cost here?
But it's been discussed, we're flipping that around there. And the council chamber will be over in the bottom part, the opposite end, right?
Yeah, based on what
that-
you're saying today, yeah, we would maybe flip this around, have some discussion about really, truly where's the best location for it? Are you guys okay with being in the further?
Now, the plumbing in that building is here on the bottom part.
It is.
That's where they have the plumbing.
Right now, the plumbing is right
there,
here.
Right there,
Yep.
exactly.
But I've covered that. I'll get to that right now. So, go ahead.
The security cameras, you're gonna take care of, or you're gonna use the same security cameras that the bank used?
That would be a different proposal. apart from this one.
Okay.
It's still being developed as we speak.
Okay.
Let me add something to that. Proposing that type of work to the building really should be one of the last things. We have some preliminary numbers, but until we really have a good footprint, it's very difficult for the IT people, those people, to come up with numbers because it's changing so often. So we're trying to narrow down a footprint, and then once we have that footprint, we can go to them and we can tune in and fine tune those numbers that we've already gotten from them. So I'll get to that too as well. So I'm going to kind of go back through the elevations, the pictures of the first floor. I'm going to stop. So there, your FF&E number for the first floor, which is all the furniture, demountable walls, for the first floor comes in at this number. Then we took the next step and we worked with an architect / general contractor to get some preliminary numbers on what would it take for us to do this. And so we got a proposal from an architect who also is a general contractor, which is amazing and great because he knows both sides of it. He can give us some architectural feedback on it, and it was great because I could send things to him along the way and say, hey, can I even do this? Can I put it there? Is this going to work? And he could guide me through that instead of a general contractor which would have been like, sure, of course you can do anything you want, Michelle. And then it would have came back and an architect would have been like, what are you thinking? So that was great. So I collaborated with a company called Endevco with an architect, Joel Kramer, who's amazing and great, who I've worked with over the years. And we got these numbers together to bring this drawing to fruition construction-wise. And it includes some things like, let me go over here again, since I'm so bad with the little thing. This very first line is an architectural and engineering line, which once this is all done and you kind of like it, you got to hire an architect and move forward with this because there's so many unknowns. The drawings that were available for the building were so old. There was no HVAC drawings. So we've made some assumptions. We've put in some contingencies, like worst case scenarios. But after this point, moving on to hiring somebody to really go through this and fine tune it is the next step. So the very first number is your architectural and engineering number, so that you work with an architect and we fine tune those numbers through that. So then there's some miscellaneous things, but we put in things like we put in a budget for 4 windows. So we could open up that space. It's not shown right now in any of the drawings, but we have in the budget to open up the space for 4 windows in. And we did actually put an HVAC number in. As you may or may not know, the ceiling grid that's in there is a very old ceiling system, and in order to update the lighting, we are going to have to take the ceiling grid down and replace it and put new lighting in. That's not the expense. The expense that we anticipate happening is we are not sure how the HVAC system is working in there. And so it's kind of an unknown, and until we actually can climb up in the ceiling and see what's in there, we think that the HVAC system is going to have to be updated and brought up to code and up to date and more efficient use of the space. So we've put a number in there for that. And then we've covered just about everything else. And we do have a contingency in here. So then this gives you a number for the construction portion of the first floor. Any questions on that? Okay.
One moment. What about the vault that was there?
That would come out, and it's included in the demolition number, and it's a big number.
But there are several vaults there. Is our finance department going to use any of those vaults? You need vaults
The one
for the money.
vault, there's just one.
No, I walked the building. There's upstairs where they counted the money, the bankers, there were other vaults up there too.
I don't recall
No,
that.
I don't recall that either. Upstairs is the break room, and that big room. There's
Remember the side?
I'll go to the
side door?
second.
I walked into it. and I saw a bunch of vaults in there. They left us a bunch of vaults.
Oh, safes?
Or safes, yeah. Where they put the money away where they were counting it overnight.
Well, certainly, okay, so on the first floor, we've left space for storage and stuff. So certainly safes themselves, which are movable, could go in any of these locations.
There's only one major vault.
There's a big vault.
Big vault, but there's
that's
several
built in right
small
here.
ones.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
whole section right here, about right here, is your vault. It's kind of around here. That's coming out.
Okay, but they're gonna, where do they store the money then? I'm saying, there were safes there, I saw them, that could be used there. You gotta store the money
Well,
locked up.
you have plenty of storage space. If it needs to be enclosed within like a specific room or something, we could actually create a room right here. Yes.
Just for Dr. Miller's knowledge, we have it's a Wells Fargo safe where we feed. It's kind of like an ATM. We feed all our money into it, and then it stays in that until Loomis comes and picks it up.
So you're moving that over there?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I need.
It's not very big.
Okay.
It's maybe like 2 feet by 3 feet wide.
But if it's good here, it'll be good over there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
then-
and we should have room for that in this layout,
Yes,
right?
it's very small. It's kind of like a paper shredder.
Sure, sure. Okay.
That means we
Alright.
don't have that much money.
That's
Okay, so I'm sorry to keep bouncing back around. So I'm going to move on to the second floor. So this is the second floor. Again, we've got, this is your Grand Avenue side. So we've brought the city manager and the city clerk, HR, planning and zoning, community development upstairs. So we've created a we've got your east entrance right here. So you've got your covered walkway right here. So we've brought your city manager's office right here with the executive assistant being the first person that's seen as anybody would come in from the public, because you still have access from the stairwell internally. And a nice big conference room. And then you've got the city manager and the deputy city manager sharing a conference room. And then you've got your city clerk, your HR director, who then has their HR team. You have your planning and zoning director with the planning and zoning team. There's a small HR training and conference room over here. And you have this whole large room right now that has a bunch of storage shelves and things in it. But we're planning putting in a mobile high-density filing and storage unit in there so that any documents that don't need to be used day-to-day but still need to be on site can all be in here. We'll renovate the bathrooms and bring them up to code and get them ADA compliant, and then renovate the break room. And then this is your HVAC room, which we know this is where it starts, but we're just not sure how it gets over there. So,
And it's a kitchen break room.
kitchen break room right here. So this is the general overall layout based on the discussions and conversations we've had over the last few months of requirements for each of these departments.
That big space
Mr. Mayor?
that's there in the middle there, I think that's where the safes are at. Go over
They
there.
might have been there at one point. I was just in
I saw
there.
the safes there, and they told me that's where they count their money at nighttime. Anyway,
You
we'll
mentioned,
go look.
you mentioned the ADA restroom stuff. But is there an elevator there, or
There's no elevator.
is there ADA?
The elevator is actually outside.
So how do you get access to the handicap?
Well, that's a good question.
No, it goes-
If you were an
The elevator goes up
employee,
there outside and you walk
the elevator works.
Yeah.
It's just outside.
Right.
So if you have an employee that
Needs it.
works and is in a wheelchair up and in through to get to their workspace, but once they're already in their workspace,
So there is an elevator. Okay.
yes, not within the building,
Yeah.
but yes. So then once they're already up there, you need to bring the bathrooms ADA compliant so that they don't have to go back downstairs to an ADA bathroom.
Okay.
But that can be enclosed. This is where they did it at the Mariposa branch, the same thing with the elevator there. it's enclosed, right? I mean, you just put glass steel in front, you can walk in the door and get into the elevator.
Certainly, there's been talk of that. So the elevator currently, so you've got, the way this is
It's right,
the elevator is about
right here, yeah.
Yeah, so there
And the
is
staircase
an
is
actual
right
wall
there.
right here that is part, and it's covered, but we could certainly enclose this so that it became part of
Inside.
the indoor space instead of a kind of a transition from the elevator to inside the building. Okay, so I'm going to move on. So we did some renderings of the reception area and this is the executive assistance area, conferencing, conference tables. These are your director's offices, what's proposed. This is your staff cubicle areas. And then I broke the FF&E out for the second floor and gave you a number for each of those areas with installation for your furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
And Michelle forgot to mention this, but back on the first floor, the payment windows, one is dedicated for P&Z. So as you come in to get your building license or get your plan review, your interaction with P&Z will be downstairs at one of those windows.
Sorry, I did forget that. There's 4 transaction windows downstairs. So you've got a number for your second floor, and then you have a construction number for your second floor. Again, the architectural and engineering number on the top being what would be the first step and next step for getting a fine-tuning this number. We've included replacing the ceiling, adding 4 windows, bringing up to date the bathrooms, bringing up to date the kitchen, everything that I've just discussed, basically in flooring, everything included in this. And then what I did was I recapped it. So I gave you a subtotal for the FF&E and the construction for the first floor, and a subtotal for the FF&E and construction for the second floor, and then a grand total of all the numbers pulled together, so you're not like running back and forth through the presentation. And this is where we've noted that your IT services.
Excuse me, so there's no office for the Public Works Director or for the engineer up there?
No.
No? So how can we have a one-stop shop if we don't have those 2 people there?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as we sat and developed this and we had our discussions, we were planning on doing just the interaction with the public, business interactions, to be at the first floor for one-stop shop. Not just a regular meeting with a Public Works Director, but if you wanted to open up a water account, you would come here. If you wanted to take out a building pad, you would come here. But not just a day-to-day operation. The public would always come to the bank, and they wouldn't have to go to Public Works at all.
But what I'm saying is that, this is the way I look at it. If you're going to have a one-stop shop, you should have a room big enough to have a good table where the contractor, the developer needs to sit there with the engineer, with planning and zoning, with the fire marshal, so that they can get everything done now, not 2 months later.
Yeah,
we
that's
do.
That first room right there. Yeah. That room right there. Oh, and by the way, we did think of bringing up
That doesn't look like a room that it would sit plans and engineers. It looks like it's got a table in the middle.
It would be like a conference room.
It's a conference room. It's actually similar to the procurement conference room at the city of Tucson. So you've got like a 12-foot table in there, enough to seat 10 people. So, and it's 60 inches deep, so it's plenty deep enough to spread plans out, and it is nice and close to your planning and zoning director. So they're.
And then there's also the opportunity to use the first floor.
You do have a big conference room also on the first floor.
Depending on how big the group is. And then the other thing that we thought of, Mr. Mayor, that was discussed quite a bit at pad building, that if you go back to the mayor and council chamber, it's all, you can take it all apart. So let's assume you have a huge meeting with, I don't know, let's say 20 developers. You could reconfigure that room to a round table, L table, you know, so that was the concept of trying to get the best use of the space that was made available to us.
And certainly this is a first draft of, to get you start thinking about what could we fit in the building. So, and what would it cost to do that? And so if you're saying, we need to add another person in there, we have room actually to do that. To add another office on the second floor. Once we reconfigure the first floor, we could even make room for another office. We definitely have room.
So I'm glad I'm staying here on the second floor.
Well, I heard that you have a really nice view.
Yeah.
And a really nice office,
And
so we opted to not
for
move
the next
you.
4 years.
You're here to stay.
No, but see, Mr. Felix, so future offices for members of the city council, where are they going to be?
Well,
Not there, I'm sure, I'm
it's not
assuming.
there, but we have
Right here,
right here.
right next to the mayor?
Have a nice conference room plus a separate individual office that they can.
In that building?
No, here.
Here?
Right.
Oh, okay.
On that.
That's,
suite.
so we're going to be doing some work here too.
Right.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
next step. The next step, once we move everybody into this building, then it would be doing the same steps for this building. What, who needs to be here? What are the requirements? What's the best use of the building? And what's it going to cost to do that?
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I am under the understanding that in mayor and council room, we can also use it for different purposes.
Yes, we're proposing a setup for you that would be more modular, so that this could be broken down and moved aside or moved to into the conference room or something, so that you'd have that whole space. There'd also be tables that are flip and mobile in storage, so that they could be brought in and you could create a big meeting space.
But I don't see a storage here for that
Well,
equipment.
The biggest part of the storage is on the second floor. Absolutely. You have that huge area. So there was some talk too, we hadn't gotten there, about possibly creating some additional storage right here, but now that we're putting the transaction window, we'd have to work that around a little bit. And actually, in my first layout, when I had mayor and council down further, there was actually room for storage right off of the mayor and council area for those tables. We kind of lost that a little bit when we moved you up into this space.
But right outside next to the elevator,
Uh-huh.
there's also room there where the old ATM is, and we can use that for storage.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more room. If we eliminate one of the drive-throughs, that leaves all that for potential storage. So, I mean, it depends on how we move forward on this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have so many possibilities at this point. This at least, it's not putting you in the very beginning stages of starting. At least it's giving you something to start thinking about, and now you're bringing back some really good feedback to, hey, the space itself is working. If we move this person, move that person, we've got all of the people, but maybe we need this extra person in there. We need some extra storage, and then we just go back and we, tweak the design. But at least you have already, you have something to work with, and you kind of have an idea of a budget in mind as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
On the second story there, those like the little rooms there, or kind of little cubby holes, what size are the ones against the walls, not the ones in the middle? So what are we talking, are we talking about, 10 by 10?
These?
Or are we talking about 8 by 9, or what are we talking
Are
about?
we talking about the offices or the?
Those offices there,
These
yeah.
offices? So these
Not the ones in the middle, the ones on the...
Right.
Yeah.
So your offices are 11 by 9, roughly, this size office. This one's a little bit bigger because we gave a little bit more storage room for the HR director. These 3 offices are roughly the same size. So you got, yeah, 11 by 9. This one's a little bit larger. This one's a little bit larger. This one is more like 11 by 12. These are 6 by 6, 6 by 6 and a half, 6 by 6 and a half. And you still have room here. You know, if we had to put another office in, we could do that. We could flip the door and get another office right in here. Which, again, demountable walls, so that if this, you know, this down the road, we had to give somebody a smaller office to get somebody else in, we can do that. We can just move the wall, and we're not moving carpeting, we're not, you know, having to find the carpet because you know that a year later it's going to be obsolete. And not to mention the fact that, you know, your son is going to change the color of the carpet. So we can move things like that. So
The portable walls, I mean, how high are they?
they go all the way to the ceiling.
They would go all the way to the ceiling?
Yep, and they
And they're manufactured like that?
They're manufactured, yes. Yep, and they come in glass. They are vinyl covered. I actually did a color board just to kind of give you an idea of what, and there's vinyl on there. So that they're vinyl textured. You can fabric them for acoustical. So maybe we put some fabric on the inside, and they're jointed with what's called a pilaster, and you put a sound masking, sound packing material every 4 feet and across the ceiling. And so you get an even better NRC rating than a drywall wall. Now, once you start putting glass in, as you know, you lose sound will, you know, transfer through. It'll bounce a little bit more, but you would have that again with the drywall wall as well, because this is built just like a drywall wall, only modular.
Now, cost effective is doing something like this more or a lot less than going ahead and putting actual walls and doing
Your initial dollar output is more.
It's
by
more
about,
on this.
By 20%. However, your savings over just the depreciation, if you never moved it, you would save the 20% plus another 15% your first year when you depreciate
We don't
it.
do depreciation. So
Understood.
even though Donald Trump should look at it.
Yes, he should.
Mayor, out of order.
Yes, I know. He's
So-
about this close.
Sandy Berners,
He's that close.
he's gonna look into it. Right? Bernie, he'll look into it.
Roger Stone, too.
Anybody else have anything else?
Mayor, I think, Mayor, this is a good start. We at least got a conceptual idea. We can go from here. At least we have this to work from.
Yeah.
We just need,
So do you, just one question to the members of the council. Do you really want to move this council chamber over there?
yes,
You
I
do?
think that this should be what we agreed upon, that this will be the city court, so we don't have to spend, as the police comes up here, we need to hire just security, just for that front door. And we could hire our own security person instead of paying a company, and all we need is that front door to check, and that's it. Here are the courts, here's the police, and that's the mayor's office, and everybody's clear. We don't have to have them over there, send the city court over there, have security over there, and then have security over here.
Okay.
But Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we really have to consider it because I think everybody here is very accustomed to being in the same location with the city manager, the deputy city manager, the mayor, everybody being in the same floor and being able to get together, because we're going to be here, and if we're here and we have our own little cubbies here, that means we're going to be speaking to the city manager over the phone constantly. We're not going to be going, you know, go over and visit him. We got to go over there, right? So we really have to consider. You know, I understand about moving the city, the court deal over there, but we got to consider whether we want the city manager away from us and the deputy city manager. I mean, what are we going to do without John?
I don't know, what do you mean cubbies? What does cubbies mean?
Well, if we're going to have our own little room, our own
Office space.
Why do we need our own office space?
Well, that was the idea.
I think members of the council should have, in case they need to
Yeah,
talk
but
to
then
somebody.
that's what's going to happen, and then every councilman's going to want their secretary. They want to feel more prestigious. That's not what we're here for. If you wanna, if we wanna have a council, there's meeting, there's a conference room right there, like I use this conference over here room. When I have to meet with constituents, I use that room. There's no need for us to have our own little cubbies so that we think that we're more important than what we are. It's a city manager form of government. If you want to schedule a meeting, there's plenty of room there, plenty of conference rooms with telephones that you can walk in there and have your
No,
meeting.
but what I'm saying is that once the city manager leaves, John leaves, and everybody leaves from that section over there, that there's offices there that the council can use too. Right
Over
next to
there.
the mayor's office.
We're over
Yes.
here also.
Well, I'm not going to be over here with you. I'm going to be over there where the action.
I'm not asking you to be here with
Well,
me.
no, that's what I mean. So why are you trying
No,
to make
but what I'm-
cubbies?
no,
What do
what
you
I'm
want
saying-
cubbies for?
Just
What I'm
make
saying-
5
no,
offices.
he's talking about
offices
cubbies over
and
there. I'm
leave
not
them
talking
all.
about that area. I'm talking about
What's
this.
going to happen is we're going to turn this in and we're going to have 5 city managers now. Instead of 1 city manager, 5 city managers, because you guys like having your offices and you feel very prestigious. You think you're in the executive. Let him manage the city. Let us make the policies.
The further, the better.
Well, that's okay. I'm not going to hang around. I'm going to be over there. But let's not overdo this thing so that we can think that we all are entitled to an executive suite. Then we're going to want all our private secretary. Let's get out of that mode of thinking. We ended that in 2000 when we voted for a city manager form of government. Let him take care of the city. We'll make the policies.
Can you handle it?
You
Just
can.
joking.
We can. If he says no, then we got another agenda item coming.
All right, so can we move on? Or are we done with this?
Yes, sir. Michelle's done. We just need are we going in the right direction?
Yes, you are.
You are. Yeah,
Yes.
to me it looks like that. I'm not moving, I'm staying where I'm at.
That's fine, yeah.
I think somewhere, but I think we need another study session just to verify that everybody's gonna be on the same.
And
Study.
we have to also be on the same page with the cost of this.
Yes, and also
Okay.
with the cost.
Yeah, well, just make your changes, and then we can have another study session, finalize it with the cost, come back how we're gonna find it, and then we can start. Because this building over there has sat empty for long enough. That's not what we told the public that we were buying that building for it to sit idle.
So,
I'm gonna,
yeah.
do you mind?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do a little reconfiguration just so that everybody can see it, but I think truly your next step is to hire your architect and your engineer. Enter into a contract with us so that we can give you a firm number. These numbers are based on what we know. We already know what we know. So me moving the council chambers around, and it's not going to change the number a whole lot. So you already have a number. But I think, and I'm happy to do that, and I can do that and get that over to you guys so that you can at least get it. But I really think that the next step is truly to enter into a contract with us to get some engineering plans done for the building so that we know that we're moving in the right direction and that we can actually put the things where we want to put them in, what the HVAC situation is, and then we can get some better zone in on our costs a little bit more. We've padded things just for whatever contingencies that worst case scenarios that we can think of. We could quite possibly get into this and find that the HVAC system is in a great location. It just needs to be updated, and it won't cost as much as putting a whole new HVAC system in. So
Now that keeping the teller thing, what kind of changes do you think will be constructed? Would it move that little conference room and?
yeah, I think that we've put money into it to take that out, and so that money will go back into the budget, not being used, maybe used somewhere else. But I think that we need to put a better window in. We're gonna probably try and pull all that millwork out. There's like stairs to it that go up and down and around. There's a door. We would have to, that's already proposed to come out. So until I actually pull and see where it is, I think that, again, I don't think the cost per se is going to go up by doing that.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Glass, Doctor, I'm just a little confused here now when you said enter into a contract with us, okay? I'm
Sure.
a little confused. So clear me up here now. If we're going to proceed, I still want to see the changes so we
Sure.
can agree upon, and then, but I just want to make sure we're not treading on any kind of violation of the procurements, okay? So,
Sure.
if we enter into an agreement that this firm is going to handle all the architectural work and everything, are we within the procurement limits without going out to bid to do this?
Mayor?
Mayor Garino, Councilman Barona. You know, as you well know, our procurement code was revised last
To
year.
100,000.
And the limit that the city manager is allowed under that procurement code to enter into a contract without going through an RFP process as per our city charter, and as per our revised procurement code, is $100,000. You know, anytime that a construction, you know, something that's going, anytime you're going to enter into a construction company, whether it's with an architect, whether it's an engineering firm, whether it's a general contractor, you know, it obviously it would behoove the entity to bid those services out, and regardless of what our procurement code says, it's good practice. In this scenario that I'm reviewing here, and I don't believe this matter has been RFP'd. I was just talking to the city manager about that, and my understanding is that no RFP has ever been issued with respect to this matter. Is that correct? Right. Okay, so the city manager has just confirmed to me that no RFP has been issued with respect to this endeavor. I asked him earlier today because perhaps that was done before my time as city attorney, but I've now been confirmed that no RFP has ever been issued. So to answer your question, if you know, to proceed with this development of that building that was acquired by the city, it's certainly clear to me that we do have to go through an RFP process. So to that end, there are certain certain ways that we can proceed through our current procurement code, through our revised procurement code, on perhaps phasing this out. But certainly, I would ask the city manager to work with legal to make sure that we do follow our procurement code the way it's meant to be followed.
And
Mayor, so then, I agree with Councilman Schumer that we should go ahead and have another study session, and then at that time finalize this deal, and then come and tell us where we go from here and how we're going to go about it to make sure we're not getting ourselves in a legal position that could bring harm to the city. Just tell us where to go and make sure that we're going in the right direction, and we'll go from there. That's it, Mayor.
I'll just add this much, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, and with all due respect, I know the architecture firm that has been working with the city manager and with staff on this matter has put in a considerable amount of time into this, and as with anything, obviously those services need to be paid. And I'm sure, you know, the city manager does have a particular amount that he can that he's able to work with below 100,000 for purposes of making sure you know, we're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But when it comes time to bidding out the entire project, I'm sure that you're aware that at that point in time, the city does have to issue an RFP.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to clarify that when I said enter into a contract, really just for the engineering and architectural charges that were listed. So that's like $10,500 on the first floor and $3,500. That's your next step. Not enter into a contract for $200,000 or $1 million.
Well, that's for you to clear it up.
Yeah. And so let me.
I'm kind of confused, and I don't want to.
And so I want to, you know, clarify that we're not saying, hey, give us $2 million or $1 million. Let's go forward with this. But in order to get that $1 million number better, more firm, you need to hire an architectural firm and an engineering firm, which we've quoted in the 10,005 and the 3,005. And working with the architect, that those fees are based on the fact that he's already done most of the work. And so now it's him doing some more digging into the building and working with an engineer. So, and also, you know, we fully understand the procurement process and have also pulled this together with GSA numbers in mind, so that you know, I don't know what your procurement is in terms of GSA. I mean, the whole GSA market was established so that you wouldn't have to go out to bid because the GSA market does all the bidding for you. But we very often see government agencies still go out to bid with GSA, but at least that gives you a kind of a number of what the market is holding out there for GSA numbers. So all of that would pull that in mind as well. So you're getting, you know, your GSA discount.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much.
All right. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yes. Kissinger?
Yes.
Item number 2, presentation of the Chia Park project. Is that Marcel going to be doing that?
I'll start and then Marcel will come up.
Go ahead.
Close this out real quick.
You have 5 minutes. Marcel has 3.
Okay. Try to be as quick as possible. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the council. I'm Frank Dillon, the Assistant City Manager. So the purpose of this presentation is to get the mayor and the new members of the council up to speed on the Techea Park redesign initiative. This was a part of the strategic plan that was adopted in October of 2018 by the previous administration. So leading up to that, just a little background, leading up to that, one of the initiatives identified was the improvement of existing city parks. And Techea Park was identified as one of those city parks due to its proximity to neighborhoods here in Nogales and City Hall. So it's a widely used park, and it's been quite a while since it's undergone any kind of improvements. So just starting off, we'll get into it. So a background is, as I mentioned, the redesign of Techea Park was identified as a project per the strategic plan. The concept plan was developed by a person named Andre Ryu, who was a master's graduate from College of Architecture, Planning, and Landscape Architecture at the University of Arizona. Our partnership with the U of A got us in touch with him, and he was able to come in last summer and work with us over the summer very thoroughly. So we were able to get a really good deal on the concept development and design of the park. He spent a lot of time here working with staff and working with Marcel and myself and other staff to try to get an understanding of the community and the needs of the park. And the concept plan was presented to City Council in August, and staff was given direction to move forward with the design phase of the project and basically do some research into getting cost estimates on the future phases of the design development and then subsequently the construction. So just really quickly, the concept site plan, I won't go into detail over the, in terms of each element of this design. I prepared memorandums for each of you and left them in your mailboxes yesterday. They explain all of the details of the design, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and go over any questions that you may have, but I realize that we're trying to do this quickly, and this might take a little bit longer. But the concept plan involved a lot of unique elements, including an amphitheater and areas for water retention and improved recreational facilities. Essentially pretty robust and diverse equipment and modern amenities for the surrounding neighborhoods, including a trail system and ways to tie into the art gallery and future parking, as well as being an attractive addition to City Hall. So So this is a little hard to see with the lights on, but again, all these images are in your memorandum packets. These are before and after pictures, kind of showing bird's eye views of the concept design. To the right, you can kind of see a detention area on the top right, before and after, and then on the bottom you can see part of the loop system and ramadas that connect to the surrounding neighborhoods and the new parking area. Again, here.
Just
Go ahead.
Frank, before they had a bigger pictures.
Sure.
Because we got two new.
Right, and the pictures are still the same. So the
Mayor and Hector here, they haven't seen these before, so I think, you know, if you've got the bigger pictures there, you can show us, or.
Sure. As I mentioned, so the entire presentation booklet is in each and every.
Yeah.
So Councilman Anesian, to answer that question, I knew that we were going to be in a time pinch, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys a quick run through today. But in your memorandum packets, there's a 35-page booklet illustrating all the information that you need to go through. This should be in your mailbox. So it's all been provided to you. I'd be happy to go over this in a future meeting, but I just wanted to get everybody up to speed because we'd like to keep moving forward with the project. So where are we now? So the completed items, essentially, as I mentioned, we had City Council direction to explore the design alternatives for Techea Park. In May, August of 18, the design concept was complete and finalized and presented to City Council. August 2018, direction to proceed with the design development for the use of the project. September, we design landscape architects, Presidio Engineering, and Terracon Geotechnical Engineering were identified as the project team to complete the design development, the phasing plan, and construction documents for the project. The cost estimates were prepared by the consultant team for step 1 and step 2 of the project. And just for the purposes of keeping this clear, I'm talking about the design development in 2 steps, step 1 and step 2, because you start introducing terms like phasing, and then that gets confusing because that could apply to the construction, right? So we're not talking about construction yet, we're just talking about design. So we have a concept that our recent graduate came up with over the summer, and then now that requires a bunch of engineering and things like that. So step 1, so essentially here we are in February, we're giving a status update to the City Council. February and March, the consultants to begin on step 1 of the project, which includes the site survey and the soils report and the team kickoff meeting. So essentially that'll involve the 3 consultants getting together to go over the needs of the project, and then doing a site survey of Techea Park and the project area, and then conducting a soils analysis and generating a soils report. Now that's what I'm considering to be step 1, and it's important to note that because that's really before any of that gets done. You don't want to move forward with any subsequent phases of design development or construction documents because that's very expensive, and that's the bulk of the future of the project before the construction. So we need to know a couple things about the site in terms of what the soils are like and the survey essentially before it moves further. So cost considerations for the site analysis, design, and construction documents. Step 1, the total is $34,055. And again, all of these cost estimates in their full detail with every line item is in your memorandum packets that's in your mailbox. So you can go over that when we have more time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. This figure is a total for the consultant services, including the project kickoff meeting, site survey, and soils report, as I just mentioned. Step 2, this is the phase that comes after the site analysis and soils report. This is $166,067. This figure is the total for consultant services, including landscape architectural design, as well as civil engineering design, coordination, and construction document generation. And then the step 3 would be the construction, pending completion of all those construction documents. At the completion of the construction documents, that would give the city what we would call a shovel-ready project, meaning we have a project that's ready for construction at any time, and the cost for the construction phase will be determined at that point. But in the meantime, staff is working to secure funding, and I'll let Marcel and Alejandra Ramirez, they've been working together, and ultimately Marcel's team will be managing this project. So currently, just to finish, we have an allocated budget of $132,000 in the Parks and Recreation budget, plus an additional $50,000 for the Tohono O'odham a Tohono O'odham grant. And I'll bring Marcel up here to talk about alternative funding sources that he's been seeking as well.
Let me ask Mr. Dillon, Mr. Mayor, please put some on these slides that you presented on design concepts of that. I want to make sure here again for clarity, because they go back and forth. We originally, that's why I would hope that the finance director would stay for our meetings and not be going. You would please have our meetings, because we always have finance questions. I thought we had budgeted an amount of money. I thought it was $10,000 for the design, the original design phase of this. Is that the people that we spend money on that you said up there?
So,
because I remember we spent something and we were supposed to get a design. I just want to know what happened to that money. Is that the design that we paid for?
So the original design that we showed you in the beginning of the presentation?
Yes,
the concept
we
design?
allocated $10,000, and I remember when talking with the finance director, money was spent to give us a design of what we wanted out there.
A design concept, yes, that's
Yes.
it.
Was that that company is the one who did it?
No, so we actually worked with a recent graduate, and that's who gave us the concept design.
What? Okay. Marcel, before this came about, the U of A people and all of that, we had budgeted $10,000, if I'm not mistaken, for a concept design. Is that true?
The only monies I know that were budgeted were what you see here. We had received the TO money, the $50,000. I don't remember there being any council action that specifically set aside $10,000 for any design.
Did you hire anybody to do a design? I thought that you were going to show us.
There was a previous group that was hired to begin the process. That we did use some of that Tohono O'odham money for to begin a design process. It was staff's decision that we go in a different direction, so that's when we hired Andre at that point in time.
So the $10,000 came out of the Tohono O'odham allocation of $50,000.
The total was 8,000.
8,000.
8,000 change.
So what happened with the schematic?
The schematic, I still have possession of that.
Okay.
Of the design that they had worked on to that point, up to that point.
And we spent $10,000 on that?
We spent
$8,000.
So,
and where is that? Where does that schematic fall in place with what we just saw here?
It doesn't. It just completely shifted gears.
So, without analyzing your statement, we spent $8,000 on a drawing for Techea Park that we never used.
Some drawings, preliminary drawings. Correct.
We never used it. We changed gears and we went. Oh.
If I may, Councilman Verona.
But the one that was presented by the student there at the U of A, that's what we have. That's what we're looking at right now.
Right.
And that's what they put into our cubby.
Yes,
But
what happened to
if I may, the second,
we spent on
the
that
second
other-
design included we took into account the expanded utilization of the park and included the amphitheater, the planning for the amphitheater, which was not in the initial $8,000.
But did you incorporate the one that Councilman Varone is talking about, the 8,000?
That was just for the front part of the
Oh, so, well, you are using it
Right.
then. Well, you said you were not using it.
Yeah, that's what Marcel said. You're not using the plans. Let him finish.
Okay.
I don't think those plans, the concept is similar, but the design that initially was being worked on was not incorporated, was not shared, but the concept and the idea is very similar.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Did we pay the U of A student anything? Or they just did it from the U of A Department of Agriculture?
We paid them,
Architecture.
we paid them an hourly rate over the summer, so it was, I believe, $14 an hour. And he worked, I think, 30 hours a week.
So we paid them, let's say, another $2,000?
Yeah.
So we're back to
Roughly.
$10,000 basically we've spent so far and what we've got right now.
Roughly, yes.
But I don't see the $8,000 original, that concept is being implemented here. I'd like to see their drawings, because I've never seen them before. Did you give those drawings to the gentleman from the University of Arizona? They're still in your office. So how they got incorporated, I don't know how. What was it?
So, may I help answer this question?
Sure.
Okay. So the preliminary drawings that were done by, I can't remember the name of the consultant. Mark Anderson. So essentially those preliminary drawings were very schematic, and based on the direction that we got when we began working on the project, they were missing some critical programmatic elements that the park needed. And so instead of spending more money going down the road with them, we were able to procure a recent graduate that had was not going to take us over the budget for design development. So we were able to get a design alternative ultimately that was able to satisfy the needs with respect to the project's programmatic elements that we wanted to see, and more robust design and things like that as well.
So Dylan, did you meet with these people that you gave the $8,000 to explain to them what you were expecting from that design?
Yes, Marcel and Dr. Felix and I met with them.
And they didn't come through.
Essentially, yes, that's what we're saying.
Well, okay. We're getting into a very bureaucratic maze here now. And Marcel, you spent money that now I'm hearing you guys weren't happy with that, and yet you told us that this firm that you got has done a lot of reputable work for the city of Nogales. And now all of a sudden those plans are pushed aside that I didn't know about till right now this meeting. I wish somebody would have had written a memo or something to explain it. And what I'm worried about is you guys like to go to the Tohoto O'odham and ask them for money. And if we're going to take $10,000 of their money and we've just scrapped the individuals who you said were capable of doing the work, and we've never seen the plans have not been given to the new individual, and I was told that they were incorporated here. Well, I don't know how they can be incorporated here unless it's through mitosis that you're telling me that you've never shared with anybody, that you've kept them. So how anybody else got that, I don't know. Now, I take a lot of, like all of you here, the taxpayers' money. But this is money that we're going to another group to help us all the time. And I wish we could talk about this subject.
But
let's proceed.
Councilman Varela, but you say you remember at one time voting for 10,000, or you?
I remember budgeting, but I'll say that Marcel is correct. We did allocate money, but it was money out of the Tohoto O'odham grant.
Okay.
We didn't, like the $5,000 for the bicycle deal. We allocated $5,000 separately for that. I thought that's what we did there. Maybe I wasn't clear, Mayor.
Right.
Maybe that's me. But still, the idea that I'm picking up here is that we took the money and we took it out of the Tohoto O'odham grant and not individually budgeted to the Parks and Recreation Department, yet we're not using those drawings. Okay, if you guys made that decision, okay, but we didn't know about that decision, and how do we tell Tohoto O'odham that we spent $10,000 of their money, or $8,000, that we have nothing to show? So that's the only thing, we have to be above board on these things, and you guys have to be above board with us on how they're doing business. I don't want to be going, and I don't like these bureaucratic mazes. You got yourself in, now you can't get out. So we need to correct that, or Dr. Felix has to give her direction that we need to replace that $10,000 and put it back, the full $50,000 in there, and take the money out someplace else. Because I want to be able to answer honestly to the chairman, which you have a very wonderful relationship. I know this is past Saturday, and you're always out there promoting Nogales and what we need and how they can help it. That's all I heard you do with the chairman, talking about that. And the chairman seemed very receptive to you.
And he invited me to meet with him for this same reason, for future opportunities for more funding from them.
And I want to make sure you can answer honestly, so what you do with the money. So,
another thing, Mr. Felix, I think the city council also needs to know more about this and where the money went to, who it went to, and what they did, and bring us the plans that they did give us to see what it is. So we can, I want to see them, all the members of the city council.
We'll do that. Point I wanted to make is I've been in communication with Mr. Merlin Jose, the vice chairman, about the concept of the amphitheater. We presented the second plan that was done by Andre, and he really liked the idea. So in terms of bringing them to the table and saying, this is a quality program that they'd like to put the name on, we kept in touch with, I've kept in touch with the vice chairman. I've explained it to the chairman, but he's not as connected to this as much as Berlin is. And so that my goal is to get them to invest in a quality park program.
Yes.
thank you. But just be more upfront with us, okay? I don't want to be having to recall things and that. Don't put any of us in that position. You guys are going to change something, scrap something, after we agree on something, come back and tell us and be upfront with us. That's all we ask, is for transparency.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
And also the same presentation that was given to us, I can't remember if the student was here or you gave the presentation?
The student was here, but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if we could get that presentation again, because that was a very impressive, at least all of us were very impressed with that presentation.
Sure.
So if we could get that, because we have 3 new people on board
sure.
that haven't seen that presentation.
Sure. And I kept this to a consolidated presentation because I didn't want to extend the time, but if we
you can meet with them separately.
Sure, if we can get more time, I'd be more than happy to go over this in detail. And as I mentioned, you have all the materials and all the information regarding this project up to this point in your mailboxes as well.
Well, you know, I think we should end this presentation right now, and with what we have in the cubby, we'll keep that, but prepare something else for us.
Sure.
And bring it back to this dais, please.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kissinger?
Sir.
Item number 3, please. Presentation of educational requirements for public safety employees. Who's going to be doing that? The chief? Oh, that's Councilman Varón that asked for that.
Yeah, not me. It'll be this is a continuation of
the
fire chief, and then remember we didn't have the chief of police. We ran out of time.
Okay.
So now I think the chief is ready to go, sir.
Okay, police chief. Okay.
Mayor, members of the council, it's refreshing that I get an opportunity to do this presentation after about 6 months of waiting and being pushed over. But anyways, thank you for your time. I'm just trying to, Lieutenant Thompson was supposed to be here so he can put me in the right part.
Yeah, we'll take care of it for you, chief.
The last one, maybe, John?
I don't know. I can see from here. You guys can see?
That one.
That one?
It's in your back.
Why don't you try that one? No.
Local board, letter,
Chief Solid prepared. Yeah, I apologize. It was on there for last meeting and
Education requirements covered?
yeah, I think so. No, that's not it. It's a PowerPoint. I think this is it.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, this is it. Anyways, this is, again, I thank you for the opportunity to give you an update on the educational requirement. This is a very, I guess, exciting time for the Nogales Police Department with all the projects and that we're doing outreach and things that we're doing to be progressive. And this is one of the things that I've actually thrive to do is make sure that I provide a good and healthy working environment with a career path for all our officers so they can contribute to thrive forward. I'll give you a little bit of background on the history of the educational requirement and how we got to this point and where we're at right now with the mandates that we have with the Nogales Police Department. On September 2nd, 2015, job educational requirements for command staff were modified to the following. Lieutenant requires an associate's degree in criminal justice or related field. Commander and above, a bachelor's degree in criminal justice or related field. All candidates with such requirements or without such requirements will be allowed up to 3 years to obtain the required degree. That was back in September of 2015. What is the goal? The goal of the Nogales Police Department, my goal, is to encourage all tenured officers to obtain a minimum of an associate's degree. That is my goal. What's the motivation behind that? Number one is to build a career path, like I mentioned earlier, through promotional opportunities. Number two is a pay incentive, pending a compensation study. As a matter of fact, I was looking at old memorandums that I've had, and back then, City Manager Fuentes, back in 2005, was also requesting a compensation study, which that was a couple of years ago, 10 to be exact. Hopefully it gets done this time. Number three, City of Nogales provides $4,000 for tuition reimbursement per fiscal year to every single employee. Number four, promote personal and professional growth for all officers. And number five, this is a very interesting one while working with the local college. Officers graduating from the police academy prior to 2006 potentially have already earned 36 college credits, and they will potentially need 15 credits in general education and 9 credits in support courses to obtain their associate's degree in public safety. Officers graduating from Police Academy post-2007 potentially have earned 47 college credits, will potentially only need 15 credits in general education. You only need 60 credits to obtain an associate, so we're going in the right path. So once they graduate from the academy, they graduate with 47 college credits, and they would only need 15 credits in general education to achieve that goal. And that's what we're working on right now. The tentative entry level requirement, we're striving for 2020, which is next year. Officers graduating from the police academy will be afforded 2 to 3 years to obtain an associate's degree following the completion of their field training program. The reason we're waiting, we're not sure as far as to 2 or 3 years, because the allotted time pending current pilot program in partnership with the Santa Cruz County Provisional College with Dr. Perez. I'm working really closely with her to find out once these officers graduate, if that indeed is going to be the case, that they already have those 47 credits and they only need the 15 in order to get their associates. But I think we're going in the right direction as of now. What's the motivation behind this? Again, build a career path through promotion opportunities, pay incentive, again, pending compensation study. City of Nogales provides a $4,000 tuition reimbursement per employee per fiscal year. Promote professional and personal growth for all officers. And right now, what we do have is a pilot program. We currently have 2 cadets officers in training at the police academy right now, set to graduate March 7th of 2019, which is next month already. We'll conduct a postgraduate assessment in partnership with the Santa Cruz County Provisional College with Dr. Perez, and find out if indeed those 47 credits is what they gain through the academy, and they only need those 15 credits to gain their associates. Santa Cruz County Provisional College will set up advisors workshops at MPD for explanation and college registration. That's included in the pilot program. So once we find out, once these officers graduate from the academy, then we can find out that indeed they have the set credits that they said they did. Then we'll work with the Santa Cruz Provisional College and set up some workshops. Either they come down or we go up there, send our officers over there to give them advice as far as to what they need to do to enroll and be successful in gaining their associate's degree to start off with. We're continuous doing internal outreach, promoting education. You know, one of the things that I believe is that education is a cornerstone of a professional entity, like the Nogales Police Department. Again, a little bit of background on me. I was passed up a couple of times, and I wasn't eligible to be the chief of police because I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So I had a couple of choices to do. I could, you know, put my head in the sand, stick my head in the sand, feel sorry for myself, or feel entitled and say, you know what, I've been here for 30-some years, I deserve to be chief. That wasn't the case. I went out there and I spent almost 4 years of my life, family's life, and got myself a bachelor's degree, and this is that's how I got to this position. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible. The cons, and these are perceived cons, and we can talk about them all we want, questions after the presentation. But one of the biggest cons that's out there is that it interferes with recruitment and retention of officers. It greatly reduces applicant pool. As it is right now, and that's nationwide. You know, nobody wants to be a police officer in a uniform. Everybody wants to be in law enforcement, but they want to be something that has an acronym like DEA, CIA, ATF, FBI. Nobody wants to be in the Nogales Police Department. Nobody wants to be a police officer in uniform. So those are the things that we're fighting against. Officers expect increased compensation, and rightfully so. We're upping the ante on the requirements, so I believe they should be compensated for their education. Prospective applicants with a degree will apply to other agencies, Tucson, Phoenix, federal agencies with higher pay. Prospective applicants with no degree will gravitate to other agencies with higher pay and no educational requirements. And that's the reason why this pay compensation is really important for us to do, because one of the things, especially, and we'll get into that at another presentation, but accreditation and everything that I'm doing to make sure that our department prospers and is progressive, it has a lot to do with, believe it or not, with the pay and the requirements that the Nogales Police Department has for incoming officers. What are the pros? Personally, I think the pros outweigh the cons, because we're getting better skilled and independent decision makers and problem solvers. That's what a degree does. Education does. They become critical thinkers. You think about the entire situation, not just jump to conclusions. Improve communication skills, both oral and written. Promotion of higher aspirations, or promotion to higher aspirations. As you saw at the beginning of my presentation, you saw the requirements to be a lieutenant commander and on and so forth. So, build a career path through internal promotions, assignments, and not to mention marketability. You know, once we retire, and you know, you marry the experience with your education, and you become marketable, no matter how you see it. And most importantly, it's eligible. Everybody is eligible for a Nogales Police Department succession plan, which is my goal. And they're better adapted to retirement and a second career opportunities after they leave the city. So I think it's a win-win situation, and I think the pros really outweigh the cons as far as to why we're requiring this, or why we want to require this educational requirement. My recommendation on this is to continue collaborating and partner with the Santa Cruz, or continue the partnership actually, because we already are, with the Santa Cruz County Provisional College, improve and increase recruitment efforts at local high schools and junior colleges. That's what we're doing right now. As a matter of fact, the commander and I have we're looking at a meeting with Piedmont College because they have a law enforcement academy up in Tucson and open recruitment up to them. We have our meetings with the high school. We're going out there, and even we're starting to recruit on the social media now. And what we're striving to do, we're not making this a requirement, but we're encouraging that that obviously they have a degree, a minimum of a bachelor's, or an associate's when applying for the Nogales Police Department. My recommendation is that we need to conduct a class and compensation study with agencies that have a current educational requirement. That way we can compare apples and apples, or with apples actually. And at the current time, we're conducting a 2-year study pilot program in partnership with the Santa Cruz County Provisional College. Most importantly, we need to open our minds to what the future holds, be progressive. Again, I believe that the education part of it builds professionalism, and I think it's a cornerstone of a professional organization. Does anybody have any questions?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a question, Chief. Here on the academy, are you graded just on pass and fail, or is there actual grades given?
Those are things that that involved in this pilot program. Once our officers graduate next month, then we'll sit down with Dr. Pettis and find out the particulars as far as to how this is working. I can tell you.
But when you send someone that wants to be a policeman, you send them to the academy.
You get college credits, Councilman.
Is it what?
You get college credits.
You get college credits.
When you graduate from the academy,
but,
yes.
But when you graduate from the academy, you'll get college credits. But do they grade you on A, B, C, D, F, or are you just graded on a pass and fail?
No, they just gave, let's say for example, prime example, that when I went out and got my bachelor's, they used my academy credits towards my bachelor's. Let's say for example, I got 25
but those credits, do you actually get a score, or do you just, is it just those credits are given to you on a pass and fail?
Pass and fail, black and white.
That's it,
credits.
just pass and fail.
Yes.
If you get through the whole program, you pass.
Right.
There's no A, no B, no C. It's just pass or fail.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the question here is the second question is when you do decide to go for the 15 extra credits or the units, and you go to Piedmont College or you go to the U of A or wherever you're going to go, how is that money allocated? And the reason I'm asking this is because usually on a business deal, on a corporation, what they do is if you're going to be going to school to get your master's or your bachelor's or whatever, what they tell you is if you get an A on your course, they'll pay 100%. If you get a B, they'll pay 75%. This is an example because I'm sure there's different variation. If you get a C, they'll pay 50%. But if you get a D or an F, they don't pay anything. You have to pay that whole amount.
The city policy for reimbursement is you have to get a C or better in order for the city to reimburse you for that class.
And it reimburses you at what percentage?
100% of that class.
As long as you get a C?
Yes, sir. Up to the $4,000 limit.
Mm-hmm. If you get a D or an F, you don't get
reimbursed. No, sir.
So before you get your money, you have to go to the course.
Oh yes, you have to go to the course and you need to submit your grades with a memorandum and obviously prove that this is what you got as far as your grades are concerned, and then they'll cut you a check to reimburse you for the amount of the class as long as it doesn't go over the $4,000 limit.
That was my question.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Council.
Go ahead. At the entry level, Chief, when you required an Associate of Arts degree, is that in law enforcement, or could it be just an Associate of Arts degree?
It could pretty much be an Associate of Arts, but we encourage law enforcement. From there, what we're looking at is for officers not to stop at that associate's degree, to go get their bachelor's and find, obviously they're going to do it and something to do with law enforcement or criminal law or anything like that that is related to what we do, because if not, then...
But in order to be hired, if somebody presents you with an Associate of Arts in business management, is that good enough to apply for the...
Yes, actually, and it is. And what's going to happen is that so the credits that they get from the academy, they can, instead of using them for an associate's because they already have one, they can apply those towards a bachelor's degree. So it works either way.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Felix, I think with the presentation by the fire chief and the presentation by the police chief, since they're recommending that this be implemented in 2020, you should come back to us with a policy to put into our personnel manual that reinforces what they say so that it becomes a policy adopted by the mayor and council now. So we know they're going to follow through. But these are two good presentations that I see as we're moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you very much, Chief, for your presentation. You know, as the city attorney's office, and you know, as a prosecutor for the city, I am totally in agreement with you that the pros outweigh the cons with this policy if it were to be implemented. I think our officers, our line officers, would become a lot more confident. I think they can, you know, that higher level of education will help them exercise better initiative, and you know, with something as, you know, obviously they have to draft reports, and you know, as they increase their skill set, and that would include their writing skill set, obviously it would help us from the prosecution standpoint as well. So I'm totally in agreement with you in trying to move this forward. And again, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. You know, obviously once they do have their degrees, you know, more offers of employment come their way. But I also believe that they have a better sense of what they're doing out there in the field as they, you know, continue to improve their reading, writing abilities per se, you know.
One of the things that we need to be really careful though on this is that we follow through with the compensation study, because the marketability part can be positive and negative. Because now they have the experience, now they couple that with a degree, now they're marketable, not only for the Dallas Police Department, but they're marketable for any agency in the state. So that's the reason why it's very important to do that compensation study to make sure that we get everybody up to par. We don't want them to leave. We want to retain them. I mean, we invested so much money, we invested in education, we invested in the academy. One of the other things that we're looking at right now that I'm going to get further information this week. I have a meeting in Phoenix on Friday. The academy that we're sending our officers to, our trainees, is funded through Arizona Post. However, that funding greatly was reduced. So now the academy in Tucson wants to charge us $15,000 per officer for them to go to the academy, which right now it's $0. So, I mean, if we sent you know, 4 officers, that's $60,000 off the bat, and that's not even counting what we need to spend to outfit them from guns, radios, cars, everything else. So that's a reason why we need to be really careful on the retention, the marketability part, and I'm really encouraging Mayor and Council to just do that compensation study so we can get up where we need to be and retain our good officers, retain our educated officers, so we can provide a better service to the community.
I'm all aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you very much, Chief. Item 4, discussion items. Mr. Felix? This is a Councilman Hanesian issue.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Hanesian has approached me and asked me to put on the agenda discussion item to look at our current ordinance as it relates to senior citizens and low-income housing, as it relates to their 30% discount for the water charges. I have provided you with the last ordinance that was changed in July of 2016. If you'll notice, you'll see where some items were eliminated, and it's indicated by strike-through, and it was replaced by new language that is in capital letters. What was eliminated from the ordinance that was passed by mayor and council was a strict up age requirement to get the discount, and was replaced by only income based. So currently, the only discount we provide, our 30% discount, is based off of income. Low income, not age. I took the liberty to, I also gave you this information, I took the liberty to check currently. We have 933 accounts that enjoy the 30% discount. 776 of those accounts were opened with this discount prior to the changing of the ordinance. And after the changing of the ordinance, 157 came in that are strictly low income, no age associated with it, for a total of about 18% of our total residential accounts, which is 5,168. I did also some checking with other municipalities throughout southern Arizona. Douglas offers no discounts at all. Marana offers no discounts at all. Valle Verde Water Company offers no discounts at all. Sahuarita Water Company, no discounts at all. Tucson does, and it's only on a 3-year contract, so every 3 years I think you need to come in and show proof of, you actually sit down with people and show your proof of income, and it's income based, not age based. And San Luis has an age base of 65 to receive a discount, but it's only for sewer and garbage, not water. Staff will take any direction council would like to entertain about amending the ordinance if desired, or answer any questions that might help you make a decision.
Councilman Anciano.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Kissinger here. You know, I got an application that says for low income rate classification. And 2 people went over there and they asked. One gentleman was 87 years old, retired, veteran, living off Social Security. They told him he didn't qualify. And the reason he didn't qualify because he had to show them evidence that the resident is receiving state or federal income, not your Social Security. They had to be given stamps, or they had to be given that evidence of housing or flood assistance or food assistance, right? And they had to be given that, and evidence of disability or unemployment benefits. He didn't qualify any of that, so they told him no, that he doesn't, right? And that's what it says here on the application. It doesn't say or other, and let's talk to, you know, whoever, right? So that's my question. I mean, in other words, as long as you're getting some kind of state or federal assistance, you continue to qualify for something else with the city. Yeah, if you're not getting that, if you're just on your Social Security, right, you don't qualify.
Yeah, I'll let our attorney could read Section E and interpret the law for us, and I think that would be a better course of action than me trying to do it myself.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy?
Are you talking about D of the revised code that's here?
Yes, sir. It's in capital letters. And then also, I'm here from...
What's in capital letters, Mr.
E.
You mean?
E. Low income discount.
E, because you mentioned D. That relates to...
E. Edward.
Okay. So, low income discount. A residential account shall qualify for a low income discount of 30% upon presenting evidence that resident is receiving state or federal income, housing or food assistance, or disability or unemployment benefits. All right, so the key words here are state or federal income. So how do you interpret state or federal income? You asked me how you interpret that, and my answer would be, well, are you receiving any type of Medicare? Are you receiving any type of federal benefits that are qualify as income? Primarily, I think the issue here is whether to interpret federal income as or Medicare as being a federal income.
I think what Councilman Hannes, correct me if I'm wrong. I think his question to you, would Social Security be considered federal income? Am I right?
Well, yeah, not the way it's written here. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't say Social Security. I don't think federal income.
It is.
Well, it could be considered. So the way it looks here is that the city of Nogales is basically letting the state or the federal government qualify you as low income. They're looking for someone else to do the qualifying you there. You know, if it says your federal income, if they consider that Social Security, you know, why doesn't it say just Social Security, right? I mean, I don't understand. But that's my question. Is a person that, again, a person that was 87, ex-veteran, and is living off Social Security and is in Medicare, he's not on access or anything like that, he was told he didn't qualify because the government had not, another government agency had not qualified him as being low income.
You know, that's strange, Councilman, because if I'm not mistaken, the poverty level in the United States is under 19,000. So, you know, if you go by that, you know, it would be poverty. It would be somebody that needs help.
I agree. That's where I agree. But they were. If you read this application,
I know.
It doesn't say that. It just says you have to be basically already qualified to do it by the state or federal government.
And you know, a lot of people don't apply for
because Social Security may not qualify because, you know, Mr. Verona gets Social Security, but he's not going to qualify for a discount. You know, he's got 12 pensions, so he can't qualify for the for the Social Security here.
He's not a socialist.
So that's my question: is why either we have to rewrite this, come up with another application form, if we need to adjust our ordinance, then we need to adjust our ordinance, right? Because again, here we're waiting for someone else to do it, and like I said, they were told here you don't qualify, you don't meet the requirements because you're not basically getting access or you're not getting anything like that, right?
Councilman, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Councilman Hanesian, I concur with you. I think that you know, the terms state or federal income is pretty open-ended to the point where, you know, someone can interpret that as you know, you're receiving Social Security, that's federal income. You know, you're receiving Medicare, you know, that's federal income. You're receiving you know, state
but all of us could be receiving Social Security and not qualify.
Well,
so I mean, just a person that's receiving Social Security can't go there and says, well, I'm receiving Social Security, so I qualify. Right. That doesn't qualify them.
Well, that's my point, though. The low-income discount, the way it's phrased in this code section, Councilman Hanesian, is pretty open-ended, and I think I'm in agreement with you. I think we should revise it. The City of Tucson has a different method. They actually have someone, probably from their water department or from the particular department, sit down with the person, verify that they are low income, that they're you know, that they need subsistence and need assistance from the city, and then exercise proper discretion based on their metrics there, and then
the way they have it there.
Correct, and then that employee or that City of Tucson designated employee makes a decision based on what they're seeing in front of them. Because as we read it now, I don't see any type of further description and or metrics to allow a City of Nogales employee to use proper discretion to qualify someone for that low-income discount, it just says receiving state or federal income.
Or it just says, or evidence of housing or food assistance.
Exactly. So I
Or
will say
evidence of
this much.
disability or unemployment.
From a legal perspective, Councilman Hanesian, if the term "or" obviously can signifies it could be this, or that, or that, right? But at this point, state or federal income is one of those particular qualifiers, but state or federal income is not further described. It's not, you know, the metrics of that qualification aren't broken down. So I think we do need to do some work on
Revise
this.
it, yeah. Okay, so Dr. Felix, could you maybe go ahead and then instruct the legal department to go ahead and take a look at this to where somebody that is basically, the question is, as long as they're below the income level, and maybe the federal income level or for this area here, that if they qualify, if they're under that, then they qualify for the discount.
Right, we'll come up with some language that's more specific, and then the process of evaluation.
Okay, all right. That was the whole thing there.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Tucson has a limited income assistance program, but they don't specify federal or state. They're just going by the annual income.
Yeah.
So what they do is they set an income limit on what a low-income person is, and that's where they get their discount. But they don't specify any federal or state.
Yeah, you think they might be using their income tax returns or something like that?
Well, that's not income. That's money that they owe you back.
No, but I'm saying you would show how much you're making.
Oh yeah. For sure, your gross.
Yeah, the gross.
That's how the housing authority qualifies people for housing. They just ask for their income. They don't specify for federal or state. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of income. You know, you sell tacos at the corner or whatever.
There you go. Okay. Councilman, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that also, I mean, there's some people receiving, let's just say $9,000 a year in Social Security. They don't even, I don't believe they even have to file an income tax form.
Yes.
All right? I don't think they do. So, I mean, you know, if you say that you need to have your income, no. If they're receiving that Social Security and it says $9,000 or $10,000 or $12,000 a year and it's below the level, and pretty much you can tell. I mean, if they're living, you know, in a $5,000 home, well, then, you know, that's another deal. If they say, well, we don't have an income tax statement, right? But I think, again, someone has to use a little discretion and say, you know, somebody like that, they qualify, especially if they qualify because of age and they qualify because of what the Social Security is and basically because of income.
Do you have direction, Mr. Felix?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, members of the City Council. We got item number 2 in discussion. Discussion of recycling program. Mr. Felix, you have somebody here. This Councilman Hanesian wants to know this one too.
He's in the mood. Councilman has stopped taking care of the poor people after 3 years here. He finally cares for the people.
These are probably the only 2 items he's going to put on the whole year. You know that? I better not say anything. He's going to have full sheet next week.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for...
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Hanesian and others have expressed concerns over our recycling program and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we've had very interesting discussions with some of the experts in the field on just exactly what recycling is and what happens when you do recycle or don't recycle, whatever. And at this time, I'd like to bring an expert up to the podium, Mr. Paul. He's with Tucson Recycling, and he can introduce himself and his qualifications as it relates to recycling.
Okay, my question is very specific. My question was exactly what happens to the cardboard in downtown Nogales?
Sure, and Mr. Paul?
Because everybody else, Walmart sends their cardboard, they pack it, they send it out. We have a new company here, and the ladies are here that represented. This is California Recycling,
right.
And they're in here in the recycling business, and I see all the cardboard downtown. And I see and I'm glad to see that you have the people that pick it up, and I want to ask them.
Sure.
My question I'd prefer to ask them a question.
Sure. So after Mr. Watkins' presentation, because we had a discussion prior to setting up this, so we got some information from him. We'd like to share with the mayor and council, and then we can open up to questions or bringing up our sanitation employees so they can talk about the cardboard downtown. We can bring up the young ladies, I believe. Are you?
Yes,
from California Recycling people.
Right.
Yeah, we can bring them up and they can tell us about their operations.
Okay.
Okay,
Can we go ahead and proceed?
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Mayor?
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Kurt Wall. I'm one of the principals of Tucson Recycling and Waste. We currently operate the transfer station here in Nogales, have for the last 10 plus years. We remodeled, built the facility in efforts that at the time the Santa Cruz County landfill was raising the rates indiscretionally against the city, and we had some other options to work to make a better deal. At that time, we had that direction of council. We put in a sort line. We were recycling, sorting everything, working what we call a dirty MRF, where everything came across the line. We sorted everything. Did that for about 3 years. We're no longer able to financially work that way. There was a grant that we had from the state that we were using to help us. Those grants have since gone a long time away as far as recycling by the state. So at that time, the city went to a company called R.W. Beck. They did a study, came back to us with numbers and to the council and said, you know, this is what it was costing, which was approximately $260 a ton to process recyclables that way. And we were disposing of trash at that time at about $41 a ton. So at that time, we decided to dismantle the sort line at our expense and entered into a new contract, and we've operated since then. Recycling at that time, you could sell a bale of cardboard for approximately $80 a ton. Today, I talked to our sources that are buying it. First of all, nobody wants to take it. There are some places, I know Gardner Trucking out of California will pick up clean baled cardboard like your Walmarts and so forth, that bale it and have strict restrictions on making sure that waste is extremely clean. The root of the evil with the recycling market right now is what's going on with China. I know that you're all very smart people and you've seen it. The restrictions have gone from 20% down to 0.5% of what they'll take. You can't have virtually anything in a bale of cardboard to send it to the port and have anybody buy it. So with that being said, we were delivering recyclables, mixed loads, to a company called Recommunity. Waste Management pulled up. They don't have a recycling center in Tucson anymore. Recommunity, I talked to them last week. They said if we would even take your waste, which they won't, it would be approximately $190 a ton for us to deliver mixed commodity to them, which is obviously not doable. And the other thing is, after you deliver it, most of that is going out the back door into the landfill anyway, because they have no way of selling it, no way of marketing it. The costs obviously far outweigh the revenue streams that they can get from the product. So quite frankly, we're in a really tough situation. Things will change. I mean, we hope. We are a recycler. We don't own a landfill. We look forward to diverting as much as we possibly can. But when it'll change and how much it'll change, we don't know. Our suggestion to all the communities, and we run all the solid waste for Pima County. They had 3 landfills. We've closed 2 of them since then. We've built transfer stations. We do recycling for all the communities in Pima County outside the city. We still take that waste. But what our stance right now is, excuse me, to stay the course. Don't retrain. Don't get rid of the blue buckets. Keep doing what you're doing. We will work through it. We haven't stopped recycling. We've stopped recycling some things. It's just one of those things that again, we're looking for the best solution. We're hoping the political climate with China changes, and hopefully we're in a better place at a certain time. With that being said, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. As far as being an expert, My qualifications, I've been in the business for about 15 years. I'm not an expert in anything. I've got two partners that have been the CEO of Allied Waste. One of them, is brother, is now the CEO of Republic. They've been in the business about 35 years each and worked for the biggest waste haulers and waste companies in the country. And I've been kind of studying under them for the last 15 or 20 years. So with that being said, I'm open to any of your questions. Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Again, my question was with what happens to the cardboard when the city of Nogales picks it up downtown, okay? They just dump it in there, so there's no legit recycling on it. Because it goes into the regular big truck with the rest of the garbage, right?
Correct.
And it's not baled or anything like that.
And again, we don't collect it on the street. We take it
Right,
from there.
right. Well, that's why I said that. My question is, what happens when they collect the cardboard? I know what happens with Walmart. They ship it out to wherever. Penny's does the same thing. You know, a lot of the big Safeway does the same thing. But I mean, I know that. I know what you send, whatever you bail, you can send it out too, right?
Sure.
But if they're just the city of Nogales is just delivering it to you as garbage, we're being charged for that.
Correct.
Even though it's just cardboard, we're being charged. And downtown should give, I don't know, thousands of tons of cardboard a year, and we're being charged for it. So my question to the staff here was, why are we doing that when there's people that basically, Walmart, I understand, we used to do it at Veterans Market, if you remember, Marcia, they used to bale all the cardboard there and send it out also. And here we, you know, that's my deal, is what happens when we collect it. And that's my question. That's why I'd like to talk to these gentlemen here, right? And as far as I can see, they just dump it. You have over there at the dump on your right side, you can go throw a little box of cardboard.
Correct.
But you're not set up there for the city to say, here, we're gonna dump, you know, 5 tons of cardboard, right? You're not set up like that.
That is correct.
So that's my question. And like you said, it's costing you money to do it. Basically costs you money. We're trying to figure out how it's not gonna cost any of us money, right?
Totally understood.
Okay, so thank you, and John, if we can get the gentleman there
Well,
to pick up.
I got a question too.
Okay.
You know, my concern now, you say that recycling's gone this way and that way. So basically you're telling me, you know, screw the environment. Because, no, because if you continue dumping it at a landfill, that's what's happening. Recycling is based on two things. Probably make a little bit of money, because I remember when we started the recycling program, Mr. Hanesan and I, we were in the city council at the time. There was money coming to the city monthly. It could have been 1,300, 15. You remember that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're not getting a penny now, huh?
Absolutely.
Since when did we stop getting money back?
When there was no other market for us to sell it. What, at that time we were selling for $40 or $50?
But does our contract say that we were supposed to get money for
Exactly.
recyclables?
And it does if it exceeds an amount that we get back. If we can sell the commodity for X amount, then the city gets it back. Right now, we not only can't sell it, they're charging us to bring it to them. That's the market right now. Unfortunately, as it stands.
So if we were to find somebody else that can take it and recycle it.
Please, I've got tons and tons of it that I can present to you. I mean, we've got all of Pima County. Recommunity will not take any of our recycling right now. They're the only one. Waste Management used to operate a recycling center. They do not. They pulled up. They moved it out.
So basically, you're telling me that Waste Management, that green monster, that picks up trash throughout the whole country and some, I think around the world too.
Sure.
They're not recycling?
No, I didn't say that. They are at an expense. And I got a call from them actually this last week because of the Waste Management Open. They have a lot of drywall that they want to recycle. They called me up and said, Kurt, is there any source for drywall for us to recycle? Because they want the zero Waste Management Open. No waste goes out of there. Everything's recycled. Well, we found one source for them that would take it in Arizona, but they wanted all the paper removed from that drywall. And then they would take it at no charge. They found a source in California to take it, but they have to truck it there, and that's exactly what they're doing for that one event. what they're doing is they're selecting the commodities that they are recycling now. The clean cardboard that they can make extremely clean that they can sell. Other than that, I don't know. I'm not waste management. I don't know for sure what it's doing or where it's going, but I assume it's going out to the landfill for the most part.
You know, before they would break the glass, turn it into beads, and put it into asphalt. There was a company out of Prescott doing that for the longest time. That's gone too?
There was one in Kingman. It was called Bulldog, and absolutely they used it for shade, for pipe. Nobody's buying glass. In fact, when we started 6 years ago for running Pima County, we stopped taking glass because we couldn't find a source to get rid of it. And it's so heavy, going to the landfill, it was very expensive for us to dispose of. So we had to stop taking glass at that time, all glass. It is a sad state of affairs, no question about it. And I think it will turn around. But it was interesting, the meeting that I had with your staff last week. They brought up a very good point. Mr. Barson has brought it up. He said, you know, the problem with recycling is we can all remember, and looking at council, 20 years ago, nobody had a plastic bottle of water in front of them. We got a glass of water, we got a glass of water. There wasn't all that to recycle. All the things that the manufacturers are doing now are our biggest problem with recycling. We've created this giant need to get rid of something, and we haven't perfected it. We used to have it. The U.S. didn't do a good job of recycling. We took everything that we took from here, except for one time there was a plant up in Snowflake that took our paper. Everything else we took from here went to the port. It got on a ship, it went to China, they recycled it, and we bought it back.
So
it wasn't a great model.
So are you telling me that California doesn't recycle anything?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. They're closer to the port, so they can get rid of some of their clean loads, but they subsidize to the tune of billions of dollars their recycling program. And that's where I think it's headed in this direction, where you take your disposal and you pay for disposal. There's going to be a processing fee for the recycling, and it'll have to be a really clean, homogenized commodity to be able to sell it. And you know, my staff over at the transfer say that they see councilmen and SEMs coming in and people doing a great job of recycling. And it is it's very, very sad because a lot of other people throw whatever they want in that bin next door to them. It mixes up. The good stuff you had all of a sudden becomes trash. So,
you know, there used to be a gentleman downtown that used to come with the truck from Nogales, Sonora, and he would stack all the boxes every day and take them to Nogales, Sonora, and they would be used over there for insulation for homes for people that are needy and stuff like that. Maybe we should go back to that. Maybe we could use, instead of putting it in a landfill. Because you're telling me that we're filling up the landfills then, where the landfills are still, you know.
It's going into the landfill. We're not filling them up very quickly here. We have a great source. Obviously here we have a very good water table and other things. There's no, they built another landfill north of.
Not the one here.
Well, the one here has got a lot of issues.
Yeah. The one here is about to belly up.
That's another story.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think we should look at the environment before we look at anything else.
I'm 100% behind you. And anybody, if you can present me with the name of anybody who will take it, we pull across, and every once in a while we will get a cardboard rich or an OCC rich load. We'll take it up and we'll sort it out a little bit as much as we can if it's clean. But again, everything comes in commingled. Now all of a sudden it's like a clean pizza box is recyclable. A pizza box ever had pizza in is not.
Well, you know why it's commingled? Is because the people in Nogales that were used to putting out the blue container out because it was recycle day, now know that it's no recycle, so put both containers out there and the truck picks them up and it goes like that. We're losing that trend.
And it's something that we don't want to have to retrieve.
You said right now, let's keep the blue containers. Why are we going to keep the blue containers if we're going to fill them up with trash? Because people in Nogales now know you don't recycle.
How do they know that?
Well, easy. Everybody knows. Because the sanitation department picks both containers up.
And they throw them in the
and they throw them in the truck.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday. And, you know, people know that.
Well, we still haul, and I don't know if you noticed the baler that sits below. We still take the recyclable loads that come in that are clean, which are very few.
It's probably my
container
the only one you're picking up. Because I'm the only one that takes it out on Thursday and it's clean. My wife even rinses out the milk containers. That's how we recycle at home. But we're getting to the point that we're not going to be doing it if everything goes commingled and goes to the trash and goes to the landfill. Why do it?
Mr. Mayor, I totally understand.
It's bad. I think we need to look into this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're gonna-
Just talking about going back X amount of time, I remember the Lions Club, you know, Mr. Verona remembers this, when they used to have recycling bins
Made money off
in
it.
different
Yes.
places, and also the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah,
Right,
you
and
sat
the-
in front of veterans.
Yes,
Remember the
yes, in
paper,
front of veterans, they
cardboard?
had
Yeah.
it there, yeah. And so that was, that brought the people to recycling, because there was people pushing for it, and they were being paid for it. The Boys and Girls Club would get X amount of money for it, the Lions Club would get X amount of money, and they would give it out to the nonprofits, right?
Well,
But
we
that
used
all
to give our
ended-
paper
that
from
all
here to
ended.
the Santa Cruz Training Center.
Yeah.
Their paper from here, we used to give them to them. They would recycle it in Sierra Vista. Okay. Were you going to say something?
You know, 60 Minutes had a wonderful program on that recycling. And I never realized it until I saw that program that all our recyclables were going to China. Never thought. I thought we were recycling here in the good old USA, and it's not true like that. Until finally China says no more. And that's what threw things off. But I just want to make sure, clarify Mayor Garino's point. The blue containers, do we have, I'm very faithful for that blue container. When I put my blue container out there with recyclables, are you recycling what I'm putting out there, or should I just forget about it?
I don't pick up the trash on the street. The trucks that come in that we pick up, with the trucks that come in and dump on the floor, we look at, or the driver will tell us, are they clean or not, because you still have kind of an antiquated system where a lot of times you have slingers on the back that they see what's going into the trash. So they'll say, no, this is bad, this is good. And now 20% has changed a lot from what it was before, what is acceptable recyclables. So now when that comes in, we don't see any clean loads that are what would be deemed recyclable loads.
That's what I'm saying. So
And I've got pictures, you know, I
Friday
take,
recyclable is not being recycled. Okay. That's getting back to your point.
It's not being recycled.
Okay. So if somebody asked me, I'm putting out my blue container on Friday morning, I'm sorry, on Thursday, to be recycled. In essence, I'm just going through the process, but it's not being recycled.
Yes.
You feel good though.
Well, that's about the only thing.
absolutely, and I would beg with those people to continue to do the same thing, because I think it will turn around. And taking away those bins and training them to be really lazy and just throw everything in those bins is going to be harder to correct later on when it does come back. That's my only feeling on the situation.
Well,
Is
that's
those
what-
people that are doing the good, that are actually working hard at it, keep working hard at it, because I do believe in it, and I do believe it will come back.
That's the letter that we got, the letter to the editor from Mr. McCullough criticizing the city that there really isn't a recycling program. And in essence, his letters to the editor now are accurate.
Yeah, it's because they look out the window, they see the truck pick them up, and they
Yeah.
pick up. And then you might have the blue one here, your neighbor has the gray one. And they pick up the gray one. He said, look,
That's happened in my
you know?
neighborhood. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Mr.
Is there anybody else was going to talk about this?
I think the gentleman there that picked up the cardboard downtown, John, could you?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilman, Mr. Francisco Cardenas. I've been with the city for 4 years, and I've been working for sanitation for the past 12 years in Tucson and here in Nogales. So I guess I'm here for your questions.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, the question is, and thank you for being here. The question is, when you pick up the cardboard downtown, it just goes into the dump. Or do you pick up cardboard separately?
Okay, like you know, we have 2 days for recycle and 2 days for trash.
No, but this is for just the
For
downtown stores.
It's all the
But they don't have
downtown.
the blue one, or they don't have the other one?
No.
They just put it out in either bags or they put it out in cardboard there?
We actually pick them up by hand and put them in the truck.
In the truck, but then you go to the dump and just dump it?
Yes.
It's not delivered there separately and said, this is cardboard, don't bill us for this?
No. My understanding is that because if it's a recycle route or a recycle date, it's all recycled. So
yeah, but that's in houses. This is houses. When you hit a store, I mean, they put out the cardboard out on the sidewalk. You just put it into the dump truck.
Yes, sir.
And it's smashed. And then you go to the landfill here or the transfer station, and that's just thrown with the rest of the garbage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's not recycled.
Not at the moment.
It's not, and we get billed for whatever tonnage that is, because they're going to take it to Tucson, and that's going to be added to the tonnage. So we're paying for that, correct? Yeah. And that's been going on for as long as you remember.
Since I got here, I did put the recycle on a separate container.
No, but the cardboard?
Yes.
The downtown
yes,
cardboard with merchants?
It was done since I remember for the first couple of years when I got here. They had a different area where we dumped all the recycle, but then that was
that's
yeah,
over.
that was
Now you see that sometimes downtown. You go downtown and you will see the cardboard, and the boxes have been flattened, and they have them flat there, right? Now, in your opinion, would it be easy to pick those up and actually take them somewhere where they're going to recycle that? Because it's already flat cardboard. It's
not all of them.
Not all of them, but
there's a
some
certain
of them do it.
percentage of waste in it. I can't say that everything it's cleaned.
But I mean, if we talk to the downtown merchants, they could just leave the cardboard by itself, and if there's any garbage, they can put it in a black bag. Yeah. And then the cardboard could be picked up, and it wouldn't be going to this landfill. It would be going somewhere, right? Okay. So that's, John, that's been my question that I've been trying to get out for many years,
Yeah,
right?
yes, sir. That's why I asked Kurt to come up, and maybe Kurt could identify where we could take it. If we had cardboard, instead of to him, if you know of a place that we could take the cardboard, that's local, that
let's get the ladies here from California.
Yeah,
No, come on up here. Come in here.
Maybe they could take it.
Yeah, but Mr. Mayor, can I have an opportunity to ask the gentleman a question, or is just Councilman Enesian?
No. Gee, I'm sorry. Please, go back to the podium. I didn't see you raising your hand, Councilman. I'm sorry.
It was like this.
Sir, my question is, do you pick up in the downtown area the cardboard every day, or just recyclable days of cold?
Every day.
Every day?
Including Sundays, right?
No.
No, you don't pick it up Sundays?
No,
Maybe I can help. Okay. Currently, the city does not offer a recycling program for commercial pickups.
Okay, I understand.
So downtown is not considered residential, so we go pick up garbage downtown 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 6 days a week.
Saturdays.
Whatever they put out there. If they choose to put just cardboard, we pick up the cardboard.
But it goes into the dump.
Everything goes to the landing pad, right? Over there, there's no more sort line like there used to be, right? Now it just goes on the landing pad, right? If Kurt's people say that truck that's backing up has real clean recyclables, he might push it off to the side.
Or divert it into the pit.
Divert it into the pit. And we don't get the ticket for that.
Correct.
Right? Now, what happens to that commodity, we're not getting charged for it. Okay? But what happens...
Wait, Jeff.
Okay,
What do you mean we're not
let me
getting charged?
just finish. We don't get charged because it doesn't go over the scale. So it's $54 a ton.
Okay.
55, 40. Right. So that doesn't get charged to the city for disposal because Kurt charges us to get rid of our garbage. He takes it, hauls it, and gets rid of it for us. Right? So it goes off to the side. We don't get charged for it.
If he thinks it's a clean load.
I have the floor right now. Let me ask
Right. If it's clean and you guys determine it's clean, if we don't get the wave ticket, right? But you might want to ask Kurt the question, what happens to that stuff? Where does it go?
The stuff currently, like I said, is going into the push-out trailers, the big white trailers are closed. We've got a baler or a compactor down below. It's a push-out trailer, so we pack a bunch in it. Those trailers set up at top once they get full. We used to take those to Recommunity. Recommunity, after several months of charging, and then say now we won't even take it. Those loads now go up to Sarita. We don't charge the city for those. If there's anything clean, there's that vein of good clean cardboard, we'll pull it out, put it in a box, and then we take that box, which is clean cardboard. Everything else goes into the truck and is hauled up to Miranda at this time.
Sir, could you come up to the mic so the people on the TV can listen to what you say and repeat yourself?
Wait a minute,
I have the floor.
Don't
I
leave-
have
don't
the
leave
floor.
I apologize for that. So that's where it is going. The majority right now, because of the current state of the recycling industry, the majority of the recyclables, the co-mixed, the co-mingled loads are going to the landfill.
Okay.
And back to the question, Councilman.
My question is John.
Otra vez, Mayor.
Okay, yes.
Please,
Mr.
Mayor.
Venecian, I'm gonna put you on probation.
That's basically what I want to see, but you're doing it every day. I hope we're getting a proper fees.
Billing on this,
Yes,
yes.
we need to look at that though too. Not to get in competition with waste management or anything, because that's
we
what
do
they're
need
looking
to,
at.
yes.
But maybe we could do a little study on that. Mayor, thank you. I conclude.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Are you all right now?
Yes, I'm okay now.
Then for you, the question is, of the cardboard you pick up downtown, what percentage would you say is clean, that you don't throw into the garbage, that goes to a landfill?
For downtown, I would say about 30 to 40%.
Are clean that you set aside? I've never, every time I go down there, all I see is you're throwing the cardboard into the dumpster and it's smashed.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Most of it is it's clean cardboard, but I'd say it's about 30% that's dirty, because people tend to put stuff in some of the boxes.
Yeah, but what percent do you set aside? Like he was saying that you set it aside that's clean. What, that actually they go ahead and bail and put it separately.
Well,
what would you say? Again, I always see it going into the dumpster. I never see it separated.
No, we just dump it aside. We don't actually go through it and clean it up or see how much it's clean. We just dump it aside, and they're the ones that either push it to the good clean cardboard.
But the cardboard is smashed, right?
Yes, sir.
It's smashed.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll have to take a more look into it. But anyway, thank you.
I don't have time to do it.
Yes.
Can
Okay,
I think
now we have
the young lady there with the California thing.
You want me to keep those citations, or can I let them go?
No, you can let them go.
Let them go.
Yeah, you can let them go. Yeah, you can let them go.
Just one thing, John, just one thing. How do you judge that 40%? How do you judge it? If you say you don't look through it, how do you know it's dirty?
Because
come up here so that people can hear you.
Because I need that. I need to know about that, because how do you judge it? I mean, if you don't look in the box and you just think somebody threw somebody in there, and you said 30% is good, 30% is very little. How big is your truck? How many cubics?
You can probably load of
8 tons.
No.
6?
It's less than a ton when it's good recycle, clean recycled. It's probably about a ton.
A ton, okay.
So
a ton of cardboard.
Plastic.
So maybe I can help answer some
Yes.
of your questions. I know I'm not going to give you what you want to hear, Nubar, but I can give you what I know.
Yes.
Right? Last year, I put it in your packet that I handed out. Last year in October, we sent a truck downtown to pick up nothing but cardboard to see how much cardboard there was. And so what they do is they run the truck across the scale, they dump it, and then they run the truck across the scale, and they subtract the two weights, and it was about a half a ton.
Half a ton.
So I hope that helps you
On
with
a
your
one day,
deliberation.
on a one day pickup? On a one day pickup? Okay.
And so if we were to save that, push it to the side and not get charged it would be about 24 bucks.
Okay.
Okay?
All right,
Thank you.
24 bucks is 24 bucks.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you can go to the podium. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yesenia Torres, and I'm with California Recycling. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. We are a local recycling company here in Nogales that works with all of the produce. We also work with Vertical Landfill and maquilas over in Mexico. These are big commodities. Our recollection areas, like we send our truck and they pick up. But what we can do, I did speak to Mr. Nubar earlier in the day. We are local, and we do pay. We do have a big market for cardboard. We pay by the ton. So what we do, we have our own scale too on site there in our facility, where the cardboard gets there, gets unloaded, gets weighed, and we pay on the spot, or it could be monthly. It depends. We work with the customer. So that's basically, I just wanted to introduce myself. I don't know much of the situation that's going on now, but like I mentioned, we are a local company here in Nogales, based out of California. We do have a market for cardboard all year long because, like I mentioned, we work with produce and maquilas. And
But cardboard is the only thing you recycle?
no, we work with post-industrial waste for the maquilas or the manufacturing industry.
Okay.
And that gets shredded down or goes into California with our sister company there. And what happens to that plastic is that we resell it back to manufacturers for their product. And with the cardboard, it goes out to a mill, and it gets shredded down and then reused into new boxes.
That's recycling.
That's right.
That's what recycling is.
So that's why I'm just here to represent the company, and we can help you guys out in that aspect, that you guys would be assured that we are recycling the cardboard, and we can pay you by the ton as well.
Thank you very much. You know what, the way I look at it, Mr. Hanesian will be your contact. And what do you think?
No.
No, I know. I'm trying.
Felix is a contact.
Hey, I'm just joking to see something.
That's because Councilman Schumer likes to get carried away.
Because I run off of the OEM sheet. Like he did mention, China is doing bad, but we have other markets like Malaysia and Turkey that opened up because of China's situation. That's very difficult, but the market is there. So every month the price would be changing.
Yes.
Every fifth, or it depends on when the sheet comes out. The customer's like, hey, this is how much we can pay you guys.
Can you give us more or less a low and a high, just so we can...
Right now, what I'm doing with the produce is currently I'm paying them about $20-30 dollars per ton. That's because right now the market is Chinese New Year, and that affects us as recyclers that are going out to to the port and shipping out. It's really bad, but we're hoping next month it's gonna go back up. I'm not sure. We never know. The markets go up and down. But right now, that's the worst that I've ever offered. And I tell my clients, hey, you know what? This is what I can pay you guys now. But once it goes back up, I let you guys know, and I pay.
Okay.
Well, that's now. Right now, it's really low, but
go ahead.
What can be your, give a scale high, what have you seen average or high?
this time around the year, it's
Throughout
bad.
But what is your highest point?
My highest point, maybe $50. It depends. I can't really
But
never.
normally you're in the $40 range or something like that, 35, 40?
It really depends. I can't guarantee. It depends on the market, the month, up and down.
Do you have a limit on how much you can pay?
No. There's no limit.
So if one of our trucks, say, would pick up the cardboard downtown, how would it you have a scale to weigh the truck, or do you have a scale where it can
No,
dump
we use like certified scales where the trucks usually go out, but we have a scale on site.
When you dump
the
it?
guys, when they dump it, they can put it into, we call them Gaylord boxes. They're larger cardboard boxes, or even on a pallet, wooden pallet. You can put it on there, it gets weighed on the scale, and we tear the pallet, which is like 35 pounds.
Okay.
And we go based off of that.
Mr. Felix, I think you should look into that. Were you going to say something?
Yeah,
No.
Do you just take baled product or
No, loose.
loose also?
We bail it there at our
You
facility.
bail
We have
it yourself?
customers that sell it to us loose, but I do have it, like if it's not, it has to be folded.
Uh-huh.
If it's folded, there's no, if it's not folded, and it's a hassle for the workers to be breaking the boxes, throwing them into the conveyor to go to the baler.
You have to remember our trucks were compacted in the back and it's crushed.
No, but we can pay, if the
They
downtown
pick,
puts
if
it
the
flat.
merchants do that, well, yeah.
Yeah, they can pick it up a little.
Mr. Hanesaki separates it.
Yeah, and I just want to be specific that I do not take any trash or combing,
Yes.
just straight, because then it's a hassle for me
Yeah.
to, the workers to separate and stuff
Boxes,
like that.
you know, basically, that's what you do. Recycle boxes.
So it has to be sorted and baled?
Clean.
And
It
baled.
doesn't have to be built, it just has to be flat.
Flat.
So the box is not made, and then I can pull the workers throw it into the baler, and gets made into these bales that weigh about 1,600 pounds somewhere around there.
Okay.
Just let, you know,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, if you let them know, and I think I'll give your cards there to Dr. Felix.
Dr. Felix.
And they can get a hold of you there and
Maybe we
discuss
can,
this.
maybe
whole
we
deal.
can do something there.
Okay, so
At
we're
least,
here
at
to
least
help,
some,
we're local.
at least recycled a little bit.
So we're here, we're local, we're here to help, and for the environment especially, I hate that certain, because I've been in this business since I was, my grandpa, my recycling plastic and cardboard, so it hurts me to know that things go to the landfill when there is a market for plastic, cardboard. If not, you just look around. I mean, it is bad right now with China, but there's a market there, and we're here to help.
Perfect.
I just wanted to ask, would it be possible, is there any probability that we could recycle Councilman Henesian over there? His thoughts are just, we're ready down there.
We're ready.
Mr. Mayor,
No, okay.
I think maybe, thank you, just, we're talking about recycling. I think I'd like to have Ron Henderson have a little talk to you, because he's recycling like refrigerators and
White
metal.
goods. Well, we need to do that because our city doesn't pick up white goods
Yeah,
anymore.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Evening, council and new council members. A pleasure seeing some new faces up here. I'm in the process of opening a metal recycling yard right now. It's real close to the cardboard recycling as we have. We're looking at supplying for the city, for the seniors to pick up appliances where they don't have to go pick them out. Automotive, everything is going to be, it's a central location for cans, copper, aluminum, for the community. Everything's going to be collected into roll-off containers, and it will be shipped out. It'll either be going south or going north. It's just a collection facility. Tires will be shredded. Those will be reprocessed. Cars will be reprocessed. All metal. Everything will be put into containers and hauled off out of the community. And we're looking forward to doing that for the community.
Will you pick up the white goods?
We will. We just got done servicing 2 vehicles to pick up appliances, and we're looking at once we're open to set up strategically 4 days throughout the month where we can pick up on like 4 sectors of the city, north, south, east, and west for appliances at no cost to the city.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's
Because
good.
we don't pick up white goods anymore.
Yes.
Good. That's good to know. Good.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you very much. Okay. We are going to be adjourning from the study session, and we'll be back at 6 o'clock.
Ahora no forma plan. El property go to the landfill.
¿Qué pasa? Right there.